Is Hamlet mad or just acting?
We think that Hamlet is just acting and is not actually mad.
This is shown throughout a conversation with Guildenstern and page 67, Act 3, Scene 2. Guildenstern is pretty much denying Hamlet's invitation to play a flute, and this is because he says he doesn't know how, and that it's too difficult. But in a quote, Hamlet says, "Why look you now? How unworthy a thing you make of me. You would play upon me. You would seem to know my stops. You will pluck out the heart of my mystery. You should sound me from my lowest note to the top of my compass. And there is much music, excellent voice, in this little organ. Yet cannot you make it speak. Shh, blood, do you think I am easier to be played on that a pipe? Call me what instrument you will, though you can fret me. You cannot play upon me." And pretty much this just shows that Hamlet is very conscious and very aware of what's going on in the conversation and in his life at that moment.
And he's not just using like some obscure analogy to accuse Guildenstern of playing him. Like in the beginning of the conversation, like he uses wit to like belittle him, saying, "How can you not play a flute? Like it's so simple."
There's other times in the story when Hamlet shows that he's not mad, but this is one of the big ones because it shows that he's aware of what's happening around him and that like he's being played and not just like they're not just there to like be friends with him. They're just like act normal.
Want to see how much that is?
What?
That was like a minute.
Okay, so Hamlet isn't mad because after the ghost visits him and tells him to get revenge for his death, he doesn't know if the ghost is being honest or not, and he doesn't want to just kill his uncle. So, like, to see if his uncle really did kill his father, he devises a plan where he plans to tell the actors of the play that visit the castle to act out a certain scene from an old play that parallels the death of his father. Wait.
Alright, we'll just cut this part out. Ready? Just start wherever you go. It parallels his father. Just keep
No,
going.
like
Alright, so it parallels his father. And then like
Just cut it.
Yeah.
Alright.
You just said.
okay.
Okay. So Hamlet isn't mad because after the ghost visits him, instead of just automatically doing what the ghost asked him to do, he started to question the ghost, questioning if he was even being honest with him.
Yeah, when he questions the ghost, it just like it makes him seem like he knows that something might be a little off, and that it shows that he's not just going insane about like seeing ghosts.
When it comes to people that are like psychopaths or mentally ill, usually they don't second guess things or use reason. And Hamlet uses reason constantly throughout the play, and that doesn't seem like something a psychopath would do.
And so to see if the ghost is being honest about his accusation of being killed by his brother, he decides to put on a play where in the play a brother kills his brother who's the king and marries his wife. And he plans to show this to watch his uncle's reaction to gauge if his uncle did it or not.
If he sees that his uncle did it, then it like proves that he's not like going mad about it. It's just kind of like what the uncle did actually do. Possible. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know.
The beginning of
Is this third time's the charm? You good?
No, I'm not.
Alright. Another part in the play where Hamlet is not truly mad that we believe is when he's talking about in Act 3, Scene 1 of the to be or not to be speech. We believe that Hamlet is just talking like two people because we know that Claudius and Polonius are there watching him, and we believe that Hamlet is aware of that, just like in the Bravna's version of the Hamlet, the movie. He walks up to the mirror, and it looks like he's looking past it at the king and Polonius because he knows that they are there watching him.
So even though this scene presents itself as a soliloquy, it's not actually a soliloquy because he's saying stuff that he knows will make the king and Polonius will think that he's mad. So he's acting mad on purpose, just like he told Horatio he would.
Alright.
Does Gertrude know that Claudius killed her husband? No, she doesn't know because when Hamlet says,
A bloody deed almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother.
she responds in a questioning manner.
As kill a king. Basically, when Hamlet tells her that the king was killed and that Claudius did it, she didn't really believe him and was kind of confused as to what he was talking about. It kind of goes out through the whole play, like when the whole play Gertrude is kind of just oblivious to what's happening around her, and she was never really like told about anything. Like when Hamlet's father first dies, she just kind of wants to move on. She doesn't feel very guilty about marrying Claudius because she just wanted to move on from it, and she didn't really think otherwise. She just thought he died and stuff. Second class.
So even after her husband died, she was still the queen. So as a woman, she's already viewed as a second-class citizen by society. So if she were to show weakness or like heavily grieve for her husband, people would just denote that she's not in a position of power to lead if she's weak.
And though you can't say that Gertrude isn't feeling sorrow for her husband or for Hamlet, you can't say that she's a bit selfish, just for the reason being that she wants to stay in a high status of power and it doesn't want to give up that power. And she would even go to marrying her brother's, her husband's brother to maintain in that power structure.
That was really good.
Would Hamlet make a good king? Hamlet wouldn't make a good king because the whole conflict of the play is that Hamlet is a thinker, not a doer. And this shows in all of his soliloquies and how long it takes him to actually enact revenge on the murderer who killed his father. And it's not like he doesn't know this. Like, he knows that he needs to take action, he just simply doesn't do it. And after he calls in the players and he watches them practice the play, he even pities himself, comparing himself to the actors in Act 2, Scene 2, saying like, how can a simple actor portray the mourning of his father so much better than I can?
And going off what Grace said, in that he's a thinker, not a doer. In the beginning of the play, he sought out to seek revenge on Claudius by killing him. But towards the end of the play, Rosencrantz, Guildenstern, Claudius, Ophelia, Polonius, and Laertes are all killed because of the actions of Hamlet and trying to get his revenge. So that just shows how he has a lot of good ideas, but when he starts putting those ideas into motion, they don't exactly work out at the end. And that would be the same case as him being as a king.
Thanks Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Tune in next time to our Minecraft video.